So the National Association of Realtors and a couple big firms lost the lawsuit, and the verdict was they were liable to pay 1.7 billion in damages, and there's what's called a treble, so 3 times more in actual cost of like damages, just for like, as a, you know, normally say pain and suffering, but just all the extra damages, it says, can be trebled, tripled under U.S. antitrust law to more than $5.3 billion. So that was a lawsuit in Kansas. It says homes in Missouri, Kansas, and Illinois between 2015 and 2022 who objected. This is from Reuters, who objected to the commissions they were obligated to pay by a broker. So in essence, the sellers said we paid for the buyer's broker, you know, or the buyer's agent, which was the norm. And honestly, I don't want to pull it up, but in the contract for Maryland here, it is stated, you know, when you sign a listing contract, you're telling the seller, and they're signing it, I'm charging you a 6% commission fee, and I'm going to keep 3%, and I'll pay the buyer's broker 3%. That was an incentive almost for that person to come and purchase. But now the verdict is out in Missouri and Kansas and Illinois, and they say that violates antitrust laws. It's been appealed. I believe the NAR, National Association of Realtors, the CEO stepped down, I believe, but he said it was being appealed. And I can read the New York Times here. It says, in the class action suit, a federal jury in Missouri ruled that the National Association of Realtors and several real estate brokerages had conspired to fix prices by setting a standard where sellers pay the listing agent a commission. So they're saying it was a conspiracy. Most invariably 5 to 6% of the sales price that is split between the buyer's agent. So what they're saying, just in all fairness and in all transparency, what they're saying is there's some behind the scenes conversation between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent to set a price, and they get paid. So it's not necessarily an open market. The consumer's best interest is not in mind with these type of deals. That's what they're insinuating with this verdict in essence. But from my experience, it was just a norm. So there's no phone call that you get from another agent conspiring to fix a price. Honestly, you've already put up the price prior to even getting any buyers. So there's no conversations. But like I said, in order to be fair, let's say if you list your buyer's agent commission at 3% and somebody else lists their buyer's agent commission at 2% or 2.5%, you can kind of see how the buyer's agent saying, I can get 3% of commission here. I will steer my clients to focus on this property because I get to know how much I'm getting paid, and the buyers necessarily don't get to know that, right? So you can kind of see how there's a gray area. The only danger in that is this opens a can of worms for all practices across the board. It's like you're a lawyer, you signed a contract with a client, they read everything, they agreed to it, and now they sued you. It's like, you know how that saying, read the fine print? That doesn't matter anymore. It's not really in fine print. It's in, at least on the Maryland contract, it's as legible as every text. It's not even like smaller where it indicates how much I'm getting paid and how much the buyer's agent is getting paid. So there's no fine print necessarily to read. It's just a lot. You're selling a house, so the contract is a few pages long, but you want to read it honestly. At times I need to highlight these things to the seller so they're aware, and honestly their initials and all signature requirements in most of these lines in the contract to where they know what they're getting into. So it's like, now you've signed a contract, then it doesn't matter anymore. That's the can of worm here. That's the danger in this. I can see an avenue for this being overturned, but at the same time, you know, there are going to be ramifications moving forward. So we're going to discuss that. What are some of the dangers, right? Like moving forward with this lawsuit, what are some of the challenges? You can say for the buyers, now as a buyer, you may have to pay your own commission, right? And that's another thing now. Some buyers are even suing, which is kind of shocking when they were the ones likely to benefit because they weren't paying commission. commissions for the most part. But here's the danger. I can kind of see why some buyers are suing, because like I said, if some sellers are offering a 3% commission to a buyer's agent, other sellers are offering 2%. Some buyers may state, I never got to see the best properties. Who knows? Because of this commission split thing between agents, I may have been steered towards a house that I wasn't aware of, I wasn't interested in, or wouldn't have been my first choice, whatever. So you can kind of see where there's some gray area there. And I was just being all the way transparent. But moving forward, what this verdict means, it's almost a $2 billion lawsuit, and there's what's called a treble, where the damages can be tripled, as far as it can then go to upwards of $5 billion, right? This means that for buyers, you may have to pay your own commission, just hands down. You got to pay your own commission. So the buyer's agent now would have to require it, because why is somebody going to show you properties, go around driving, file all the contracts for you, do all the negotiation? They're going to need to get paid. And if the sellers are not going to be paying that commission anymore, as a buyer, you're going to have to take up that cost. So that means your closing cost is just going to be higher. Now, if you're buying a new home, you only got to pay 3.5%, a little bit of fees here and there to the title company, and maybe 1 or 2 inspections, things like that, if you're a first-time home buyer. But now you got to also add maybe a 3% commission, possibly 2%. So that can even slow the housing market down a little further. Or buyers may go directly to sellers now, which can be good, or can open them to not necessarily getting the best deals, because if you're a buyer, you're going to negotiate with an expert agent who has been doing this for a while. 9 times out of 10, they might get a better deal for their seller. So the buyers are at a disadvantage here, from my point of view at least. Things are just going to change, but this was only in those 3 areas. The danger now is, right after that happened, there was another suit filed in South Carolina. So this is just it's like a money grab now. Everybody is going to start filing suits all across the country until things get reset, as far as laws get reset and new standards get put in place, which may be a good thing overall, to where it cleans up the market. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like the biggest secret in real estate. You got some very unqualified people. Some potential clients have told me this. A gentleman was upfront and blunt with me. Look, man, I'm into sales, but some of you agents are the lowest of the low, and we had a great conversation. Over time, people can sense how genuine, or at least serious, you are with your business, and then they'll be honest with you and tell you their nightmare stories they've had with agents. My sister had a bad story. When I purchased my first house, prior to me becoming an agent, I had a bad story with an agent as well, and that all kind of factored into why I became an agent. I just know what I don't want to go through, what I don't want to put somebody else through. Just the lack of communication, the transparency. It's like they just want to sign the contract, lock you in, and then go about their day. Everything else you got to figure out on your own, which is not what an agent is supposed to do. If you are a professional, you're very busy with a lot of things. This agent is supposed to do all the groundwork for you, So you being a professional and doing all the groundwork and then also paying a commission can be frustrating. So maybe a lawsuit like this, if it doesn't blow up the industry completely, can just reset the market to where you got professionals doing the job now. I'll read this from Yahoo Finance. It's a bit long. I'll try to skim through it. It says a new federal class action lawsuit filed in South Carolina alleges that the powerful National Association of Realtors and real estate brokerage firm Keller Williams violated federal antitrust law. So this one is targeted at NAR and Keller Williams. And they said powerful. The reason why it's kind of powerful is, I'm a realtor. I'm a part of this organization, but NAR has some strong lobbyists in Capitol Hill that can help when laws get made. It's kind of, they're nowhere as close to the NRA, right? But you hear all the things about gun violence and all these things, and you wonder why laws don't get passed for those who want them passed. And for those who are advocate of gun rights, they lobby hard, So politicians can kind of stay on their side when it comes to these judgments. That's the beautiful thing about having branches of government, because even though you may lobby a judge can overrule that, and that's what happened in this case. Anyway, I digress. It says Keller Williams and NAR getting the suit. It says they violated antitrust laws and in turn artificially inflated home prices in the state. So this is particularly for South Carolina. This lawsuit may not have a lot of weight in every state or every county, because some counties and states are very highly regulated, and maybe they had already put in laws in place where these things were not transpiring, so you may not even have a claim in certain areas. But other areas, if it was the Wild Wild West, then this may be a way to reel it in. It just doesn't make sense at times when you sign a contract and now you're saying, oh, I didn't know what I signed. So these are things now that's it can escalate all the way up to the Supreme Court, where how much are you responsible for your decision to sign a contract? Does that not carry any weight? You can just change. Anybody cannot be liable for contracts. This in essence can make a lot of contracts null and void. Any contract, buying a home, marriage, anything, you signed it. Oh, I didn't know, I wasn't, I felt wronged on this. I need to get paid. So it sets a bad precedent. That's my only gripe with this, because I don't think people are blindsided. At least it's there in the contract. I communicate these things, so I don't know. Anyway, it says the damages in the case for the treble or triple damages, meaning that the judge could require the defendants to pay up to $3.5 billion. It's talking about the old case. Anyway, that old case was against certain different firms. It says the South Carolina plaintiffs are seeking a class action law status on behalf of all home sellers in the states who since November 2019 used a listing broker affiliated with Keller Williams that listed their homes on NAR's multiple listing service. So if you listed your home on the MLS, they're coming after you, right? Not you personally, but all of that is what they're trying to compile into this lawsuit now in South Carolina. All right. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you found it informative. My contact information is in the description below. Send me a text or an email, because I'd love to help you with your real estate needs.